smartphones and turn off the computers and turn off the televisions and take the earbuds out of our ears and to just be with God. And I'm not talking about picking up someone's book on how to get close to God. That's just someone's way of making some money oftentimes. I'm talking about getting rid of all the distractions, maybe closing our eyes or not, maybe looking up into the heavens and saying, God, I just worship you, and I'm amazed and profoundly challenged in just recognizing I am nothing. I'm like an ant looking up at the world and going, wow. I don't know if ants say wow, but I'm thinking we should. Wow, upside down, by the way, is mom. Dog backwards is God. We need to get our lives, turn our lives around and find God in what is around us. You know, Christabella went to church camp, and as she looked up at the sky, she said one night they just went outside out in the grassy area and looked up and got close to God by looking at God's creation. It's profound. Up at Lock Club and up in the San Bernardino Mountains, it's closer to God or closer to the air is cleaner and you can see a long way. And sometimes that means removing obstacles.
This little one yesterday, we were walking and she told me, she's like, dogs spell backwards is God, and I think they did that on purpose.
Yeah.
I think that's right too, because dogs love the way Jesus does. They love unconditionally.
Dogs love unconditionally just like God. So there may be a message there. Maybe for each of us, we can find good news.
It's like, wow. You made me think now, Amanda. Like, wow, mom. Like, look what moms do. Wow. I mean, they're amazing women.
Moms do.
It's a good.
Yeah, she made me think about it yesterday. I was like, she was very smart when she told me that dogs spell backwards is God. I think they did it on purpose. I'm like, it might happen.
Yeah.
I have a phrase for something I say on a regular basis. Teachers, when they leave lesson plans for substitutes, have lines like this. Please have the kids put away their Chromebooks and do X, Y, or Z. And when I read that, I always think to myself, wow, they're actually saying to put away the Chromebook instead of taking it out. Chromebooks, of course, are what laptop computers that a lot of school systems use now to teach our kids online. A lot of teachers they'll do the lesson on the whiteboard and then they'll send the kid on their Chromebook to do work and like an exercise or exam. But I read that phrase, have the students put away this or that. Are you willing to put things away? If you were my class and I was Jesus, I might say you need to put away a few things. Put away and take out of your life anything that takes you away from God. I think we can say that that's from the word, the mouth of the Bible, and from Martha, take it out of your life. If something does not allow God in, you need to take it out. Take the garbage out. If you have an addiction, I have mine. I know you probably have yours. If there's a distraction in your life that's suffocating your relationship with God, you just have to basically say, oh, it's not going to be there anymore. I got to focus on what's important, what's really important in life. And it's difficult sometimes to know what's important and what's not. The challenges we face sometimes is that putting something away requires from us the ability to know what needs to be put away and what needs to be kept. When we have a garage sale, my mom had one when she moved out of her house. We had to decide what she was going to take into her 2-room apartment at the retirement home and what wasn't going. And so she put away and got rid of a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Some of the stuff was important to her, and you don't want to see it go, but you realize sooner or later that that the things that we value highly are not always that significant. Some of our most desired things have to do with our family. Like I know my wife and I have boxes of stuff of Matea and Hannah's when they were in elementary school. The drawings they bring home? All those pictures? We have boxes of those. And it's all good. One time I tried to show my daughters some of their stuff from elementary school. Do you think they were interested in it? No. And do you think they're going to be interested in it when they're 32 years old? No. And do you think I'm going to keep that box in my garage for 32 more years? Probably.
Just in
case.
For sentimental reasons, that somehow I can go back in time and revisit history.
And make a scrapbook out
I mean, it's one thing to go back to the good old days, but if you live in the good old days, you never recognize that today is a good old day. God is still active. God is still involved in relationships and churches and women's circles and Kiwanis clubs and the Lions and the Rotarians. To be fair, we all get together and we find life living today. We focus on the eternal now, which is also, I think, something Paul Tillich mentioned, is the eternal now, is that yes, we have eternity with God, but what we have today is now, and to be really happy today, we have to sometimes mow a lawn or feed the cats. I get to do that every morning when I get up. It's not my favorite thing to do. They always meow until I feed them. Can you imagine? But sometimes I get a few moments to drink 2 cups of coffee. I don't want to close on that. I don't know about you, but when I'm subbing and when I want to get over here to the church, a lot of times it's like I have this cup. It's an 18-ounce coffee cup. It's really big. I got it at Walmart. They're not paying me for that, but it's big enough that I can put coffee in it, creamer, and I can drink it for a long time. It's sort of like 2 coffee cups, but I really enjoy the days when I'm not working, when I can get a cup of coffee and drink it and go back and get a second cup. With creamer, I don't use, because I'm sweet enough, right? So I drink that coffee, and I just savor the moment, sort of like they do on TV, of enjoying my coffee and going, oh. I think that's the closest, maybe the best way of sort of getting you to think about what it means to be in the hands of God and savoring that. Sometimes you have to remove yourself and go on vacation and go out into the Badlands and look up at the sky or Laughlin. But I think you can get just as close to God, you know, sitting in a recliner or at your kitchen table and just opening up and clearing out and putting away and focusing on what's really important. Having the courage to be means you have the courage to say, I do not need that in my life. I love politics. Lord knows I have a degree in political science. I volunteered for George Bush Sr. and other candidates. I've changed and continue to change my opinions. Politics is important to me. I probably know more about it than a lot of people, but not as much as others. But at the end of the day, I realized that sometimes when I used to listen to the political radio stations, my blood pressure would just go, I would get mad. And most of the people I know that are politicos, it doesn't matter what their ideology is. When I talk to a lot of them, it's like they're angry. I can't believe Bob did that, or Joe did that. You know, and it's like at one point I realized I did an experiment. I listened to the 70s on Sirius XM. I'm not getting paid by them either. But I turned on the 70s and listened to, you know, some KC and the Sunshine Band, you know, or a little Sonny and Cher on the side. And I found that my blood pressure went down. Because I didn't have to fight every political argument in my brain every night before I went to bed. I could just say, hey, God is good. You know, when I got married, Brian Phil married Karen and I. He was a very intelligent, caring pastor. He's also my sort of like the caregiving pastor that I had when I was in seminary. Brian Phil was at South Hills Christian Church. We had him marry us. And when we got married, he actually preached. You know, some people actually have religion as a part of their service and weddings. We did, because God's a part of our partnership. And Brian picked a verse that I was surprised. He picked the creation narrative. And a part of what he said was this verse, this really important verse, was that when it was all done, God said that his creation was good. And, you know, in the Bible, good was reserved pretty much for God and Jesus. But Brian basically said our relationship and love was a good thing. And I think sometimes as we try to focus on what's important, we need to recognize that God is enough. Basta, enough. God is enough. We don't need all the other distractions to make us whole. You know, and as the world around us tries to sell us everything and anything we think we need, like self-driving cars and drones that can spy on our neighbors, and cell phones that can tell us what our pulse rate is. I have one of those. None of those are going to save me. In the end, my question is like, who am I and why am I here? What's the universe about? Cannot be answered by a smarter machine, because they are simply creations of human beings that re-amplify our own questions. They simply show us how stupid we really are. Ask a phone what's beyond what we know. Ask a phone to help you deal with depression. Make me feel better. Give me a purpose to live, and it can't help you. He'll refer you to a book that will help someone else get rich. That's not the same thing. Wrestling with your own spiritual monsters is your job. I can't fight and dwell in you and help you to answer your questions. Morgan Breeze brought Walden to Sunday school today by Henry David Thoreau. And it was a great reading. He picked out a part of the book, and he was saying that, Thoreau did one thing. He let us know through like transcendental size that the world around us and all the complicated things we enjoy don't save us. And sometimes by removing those things, we can find the eternal, the wonderful, the amazing, the truly confounding God that's beyond what we understand. As we reach out and up and beyond ourselves, then we can start saying, wow, God, I'm not really comfortable raising my hands a lot. But sometimes you just want to say, wow. In our praise singing, we raise our hands or singing our hymns because it's like, wow. And maybe that's the best theological credo that we can have, not a systemic 500-page writing about what we believe, but just saying, wow, God, I'm in awe. I'm still learning. I'm still that second grader or that kindergartner that doesn't know his way around. Michelle was telling me we were talking about kindergarten. When I subbed in kindergarten, she was saying that her dad told her that kindergartners were like little ants. They just get up and wander around with no real knowledge of where they're going or what. They just get up and walk around like little ants. And I can tell you after 3.5 years of substituting, he was right on track. He's a man that knows his teaching. He was a regular teacher and then became a sub. And I think that sometimes that's the way the world is. People just get up and start moving around, spending the money, doing this and that because everybody else is doing it. They're like sheep being led to the slaughter, not recognizing that, you know what, you can go wait 2.5 to 3 hours for a chicken sandwich, but it means one thing: you're stupid. No chicken sandwich that burns your mouth is worth waiting in line for 3 hours. And if you think it is, and you really need to, if you have that much time to spend, you have too much time on your hands. Go help someone who's homeless. You know what? Go paint something. We don't live to eat, we eat to live. I say that to myself when I'm walking and my stomach is growling at me. We eat to live, we don't live to eat. And there's other things that's just a spiritual struggle I'm going through, but it may be for you. God or distractions are struggling in your life and you have to find the right pathway. Martha, now which one was the busy one? Martha, which one was the focused one? Mary. I was going to give each of you some M&Ms. Get up, Martha and Mary, if you answered that question correctly, but we're trying to lose weight here, not give you triglyceride poisoning. So Martha and Mary represent a part of our lives. I want you to think about this. You are Martha and Mary. They're a part of your soul. You have a Martha side and a Mary side. Which one's in charge? My Martha is a very overpowering Martha. I don't know if I have ADHD. There's a whole alphabet probably that I have. But every once in a while, I'll take a day off and I'll just say, I need a day off. And I'm not going to worry about anything at church. I'm just going to focus on bigger concerns and savor the moment of life, to have the courage to be and just say, wow, I live in a great place. When we picked up Christabella today, or yesterday, by golly, it was like going back in time. When you bring kids back from church camp, there's no better way to see the active hands of God's in people's lives than bringing a kid back from camp. And in 99% of the cases in my life, when kids have coming back from church camp at Lochleven and other conference centers, their lives are profoundly changed. Even if they go to camp intending not to have a good time, they come back having a good time. Telling us stories about spiders and telling us stories about dances and having big talent shows and relationships. See, getting back to those counselors and Benjamin who works up at Lochleven and knowing that they're there crafting and creating the souls of our kids so that they can move forward in life is that's what we're about as a denomination, as a church, and as a congregation of people who care. Because Christabella represents our next generation. Stephanie was at camp this week, along with Sarah's son and Amanda. All three of those are graduates of our youth program. And all 3 of their kids were at church camp, our second generation. I'm thinking about the third. I'm thinking about the third. We were asking Christabella if her kids were, well, it was a little premature as she's 9 years old. I was doing the math, and with her mother's input, I don't think I'll be around for the third generation. Not to be morose, but maybe. Yeah, she's not having kids until she's 45. Christabella isn't. Okay, we'll see if that happens. Yeah, Fred's here. So there's hope for me to see the third generation. My point is this: stay focused and have the courage to be focused on God. And maybe you need to take the trash out. Limit what they always say is you want to limit your exposure to blue light. What is blue light? I looked on my phone and it said there's a blue light filter. And I guess blue light is something that's emitted by screens that causes us to not be able to sleep and wake, and it does a negative thing on our eyesight. So I turned on my blue light filter on my phone thinking I was doing good, and I looked at it. I didn't like it. It's all like yellowy orange color. But then I realized something. We need to let the light of God shine into our lives. And that light isn't a light that we need sunglasses for. It's just a light to illuminate those dark corners where we're hiding the things that keep us away from God. So my slogan is, you don't live to eat, you eat to live. You need your own slogan. Whatever it is meant to remove any hindrance. And you may not have any obstacles. You may be like sleeping in the glorious kingdom of God 100% right now. Good for you. That's our goal. But in the meantime, let's take out the trash, stay focused, and every day becomes a day. When we wake up like, Robin Meade on CNN, she says, what does she say? Who knows? She wakes up and her slogan is, good morning, sunshine. Do you say good morning, sunshine when you wake up?
I say it to Bella.
What's that?
I say that to Bella.
You say that to Bella? She's your sunshine? I think for each of us, God, through Jesus Christ, is the sunshine with an S-O-N that wakes us up to the opportunities of the day. As we close today, remember that you will continue to be God's answer to prayer. Be sure to put things away, even as we take out our hymnal for our closing hymn. I invite you to get on the hymn. And because we are without a pianist today, we're going to go to 543, hymn number 543. I think some of you may have sung Blessed Assurance, Jesus is Mine before. It's page 543 in your chalice hymnal. How many of you have sung Blessed Assurance before? And since we have Patricia here and Steve, I think we'll be on key. I would invite you to stand together, 543. Give everybody a chance to get their hymnal. Very good. The choir is loosening up over there.
We're like,
all right, 543. Blessed Assurance. Here we go.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a fortress and glory divine. Heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long.
Third verse.
Perfect submission, all is at rest. I am my Savior and happy and blessed. Watching and waiting, looking above, filled with His goodness, lost in His love. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long.
Go focused on God's love. Amen. Pretty good.
Not too bad.
Oh, I
Well,
know.
dehydrated.
Oh,
Have a little.
no, everybody is.
So I can't sing as good.
I can tell.
Yeah, get it through water. You carry away, and then you
Comes back.
Yeah. I try to make one
What about the Nick? You don't think it's They didn't come back over that now, did they? Yes.
Perfect. You see your production over here.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
See myself up there. I thought you were blind. Go back. The new trucks are coming out, which you want to see. They're really old. They have a back gate. And now they're putting a gate inside.
I saw that. Is that Chevy?
Chevy.
Yeah.
And if you have a part of
You are a very fortunate.
They only got the truck. It's like, yeah,
I know when the Chevy said, that's why they have the.
And I'll get-
inside the rear.
We're on the stairs.
Your height can be able to have that. Reach out and-
Thanks for letting me know about the Coliseum. Yeah, I think you may have said something. Well, Greg usually does, but he's asking.
Yeah, he's over.
Your hair is turning out so cute. I like how you did it. Yeah. Looks good. I'm not gonna. You know, it's funny,
Yeah, this
my
is-
mom said that when she started.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
mom,
it-
she was
it
gonna
is,
dye her
it
hair.
needed some help.
This is the new one.
Yeah, so I said,
It was all Ellie.
this is. What it is, it's like you just.
Yeah, I have friends that are 20 who are dying there.
One's like this, and so
You guys have to.
we get a little bit of money through that. So,
I mean, this is.
yeah, so it's, I really was sort of glad because they really felt like.
Were you
the guy was trying to do this.
that one?
Yeah, it seemed to be good, but,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, brothers were still here, he still gives advice, things like that. And actually, somebody listens to
A little farther.
knows, he's not here.
That's what I make money for in a lot of business,
A little closer together.
So it's.
You're a drag queen, and then I heard